This is Trophy, the Scoundrel's Quarter, Part 7, I believe.
Yes.
There are stories about so many things in this land. Urban legends, we might call them in our modern day parlance or real world parlance, but these are stories, tales. Sometimes they're things that people tell the kids so they don't wander off into the forest. They're frequently that. Other times they're things that are a combination of truth and myth. One such tale, and there are many, many variations on it, is Naughty Ebart. Naughty Ebart, the basic story goes, if you're walking through the woods and you see a lost hobby horse, hobby horse or a toy soldier or a ball lying by the side of the path, that Naughty Ebart may be nearby. Some say Naughty Ebart is trying to play with you, which is why he has left his toy along the road. Others say that Naughty Ebart doesn't like it when other people play with his toys. Some people say the toy is an offering from Naughty Ebart to make friends with you. Others say if you pick up the toy, you don't bring it to Naughty Ebart, bad things will happen. Magda, what stories have you heard about Naughty Ebart?
I've heard that if you take his toy and you bring it home, he'll follow you and he'll play with it when you're not looking, only just out of sight. You can hear the toy as it scuttles around and moves with by Naughty Abart's hands. And it seems to change its location on occasion. And if you don't get rid of it, well, nobody knows what happens then. You disappear, you die, your family gets destroyed. Nobody has ever figured that one out, but eventually the toy does end up back in the forest or along the road for another person to pick up.
But now, what stories have you heard about Naughty Ebart?
Bernard's heard that Naughty Abbot can see through the eyes of the toy that you may find, and if you become aware of that and turn the toy toward a wall, the next time you look at it, you will find it's turned itself back round again so that it can see.
Cassian, what stories have you heard that suggest Naughty Ebart is a manifestation of the forest?
If you are lucky enough to encounter Ebert in the flesh, as it were, those who have heard him speak say that whenever he opens his mouth, all you hear is the creaking of trees.
Malkuth, you're on watch. It's nighttime, hence my background. The others are asleep. And I have just told you that your boot sends a teddy bear skittering along the ground. The teddy bear is now halfway between you and a small boy whose face is peering from between some bushes, looking at you. A look that's a sort of mixture of expectation and mirth, or like he has a wonderful joke that he's about to play or tell and he can't wait to tell you. What do you do, Malkuth?
Malkuth cowers at the sight of this little boy, seeing the teddy bear in between them. He starts to crouch down and back away and says, please, I don't eat me. Listen, I've got some food back at the camp, some rations. You can have any of my gold if you want. Just please leave me alone.
The boy takes a tentative step out of the brush, and he looks remarkably clean. His clothes are not frayed. They're finely made. His little shoes aren't even scuffed. And he doesn't have the grime of the forest that you inevitably get just by spending any amount of time in the wilderness. And he takes a few steps forward, still with that little constrained smile playing on his mouth. And he reaches down at the teddy bear and turns it over to show you that the teddy bear, rather than buttons for eyes, it has a pair of finely carved, faceted onyx. Certainly something of value. And then he takes a step back, as if to see what you're going to do now.
Think, and we sort of established this with the bellbringer, I think that Malkuth is pretty superstitious. And so seeing this, I think he feels like this is a trap. And he's a father now. He can't afford to play these foolish games with the forest. And so I think that he just goes, "That's a very lovely bear, beautiful eyes. I hope that the next person who finds it, well, I hope you have a great time with them. I'm just gonna go back to camp now. I hope you have a lovely night." And he starts kind of like cup his egg underneath his arm and try to slowly back away.
I think this is a risk roll. It sounds like you're trying to just let this situation pass you by, whatever it is. Everyone, let's all talk about, everyone else anyway, what could go wrong in this situation? This is a chance to really define the situation. What is happening here? Whoever wants to speak first, say.
I think, you can walk away from him, but he'll just appear again in front of you. So he's kind of impossible to escape.
I was thinking you'd make a new friend.
I think that perhaps your actions might offend Naughty Ebart, if this is Naughty Ebart, and he reveals himself to you. Any other thoughts, Magda or Amanda, really?
No, you've all basically stole my ideas.
Okay, fair enough. Let's talk dice,
In a good way.
Malkuth. Do you want to make the case for a skill here?
Sure. I think that I am. Well, command is a skill. I guess I'm not really commanding him so much as I'm trying to command my way back. Now, paths, though, I guess could be a thing of like finding the path of least resistance here.
Oh, I'll take that.
Path
Yeah.
of diplomacy.
Yeah. I'll give you that light die. Everyone can offer a devil's bargain as well.
No matter what you do, you keep finding an onyx button in your pocket.
I was going to say the same thing, but for the entire teddy bear.
I think the child will whisper secrets to you before he departs.
I'm going to second Banaz. Like, you run into this teddy bear a lot. Like, it's a regular thing now.
Yeah, I'll take that.
You have 2 light dice. I don't need a dark die yet. You can just roll 2 light for now.
That's 5.
You succeed, but there will be a complication. I think what's going to happen, you will get naughty Ebart to leave, or this child to leave. It'll even take its bear, and it'll go. But you're going to leave it highly disappointed by the end. You can add a dark die if you would like to avoid naughty Ebart's disappointment, or you can just let that go.
Yeah, like I said, he's superstitious. He doesn't want to offend this being of the forest. So would I roll all three again, or just
You roll all
dark die?
three, yeah. It becomes 2 light, 1 dark now. That is a 4 light, same result. You can add another dark die and try again.
Sure. I'm
Same
just gonna
thing.
stop while I'm ahead.
Very good. It's still 4 light, same result. I'll take the narration. Your sort of entreaties work for now. The boy picks up the bear and he gets a sad look on his face and puts his head down and then turns and walks back into the tree line. But as he's walking back into the tree line, and indeed when he gets there, you just hear this. For the rest of the night. And I'm going to give you a condition. A disappointment to naughty Ebart. Let's just have the scene the next morning with everyone awake. Malkuth, perhaps, having not gotten much sleep.
Yeah, he'd probably be the first one up, just kind of by the fire, trying to keep it alight. He's got his egg in his lap, and he sees the others sort of starting to stir awake, and I think he starts to get to attention. Hi, morning.
Ah, what's for breakfast?
I hadn't really considered that, despite the fact that I'm up this early. Just kind of haven't been able to sleep.
You're talking a lot.
I know.
Why?
Oh, these like silly folk tales. It was probably just like swamp gas or something. You've heard of Naughty Ebert, right?
The ghost kid.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The one people tell children's stories about.
Children's stories, yes, but they are also effective on adults.
I'm sure
Malkuth,
there's a story in this for you, Magda. Saint Magda and the ghost of naughty Ebart would make a fine song.
we all know ghosts don't exist. And I'm starting to wonder, Malkuth, is it possible that perhaps you don't really have the constitution for this type of adventure?
I have quite the constitution. I have spent years of my life digging through holes several 100 feet below the earth. I feel confident in our quests. However, ghosts are a thing, and they can be temperamental. And I hope I didn't piss this one off.
I think you'll be okay. Ghosts don't exist.
Magda,
There's
for
not a
someone
single
who is
Magda versus the ghost song.
for someone who has faced a mirrored serpent in the bowels of a temple, you seem curiously confident that ghosts are not real.
If ghosts were real, I would have seen one by now. I've seen a mirrored serpent.
Magda's logic is impeccable for what it's worth.
I mean, really.
What I'm hearing here is that Magda is volunteering to take the watch tonight to see if she encounters this ghostly child of yours, Malkuth.
I will take you up on that, Magna. Thank you.
If that's what it takes to keep our camp safe and make sure you don't fall asleep on us, then I will absolutely do that.
The
So we're
journey. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Just so we're clear, though, about ghosts, you know that sometimes they're invisible, right?
Well, if they existed, yeah, sometimes they would be.
Sound logic. Sound logic.
The journey to Toren's Bend. Always, treasure hunters are on the lookout for omens. Omens in the land. Omens that might speak or hint at what they will find when they get where they are going. Cassian, I think you come upon an omen of sorts. A mangled mass. A horribly mangled corpse with bones ripped through the flesh at awful angles. It's still bleeding. How does this make you feel?
I think at first I would wonder if this could have anything to do with what Malkuth saw last night. And I think I'd be in a bit of a hurry to move past it, just in case.
Do you point it out to the others?
Sounds like it would be hard to miss. Yes.
Yeah, depending on where you found it, I suppose. The mangled mass. You can put it in your notes as a possible omen. And if it becomes relevant later, you can use it for a die. You eventually reach Toren's Bend. Let's talk about the story again. A story about the tiny village of Hester's Mill, located somewhere in these lands. The story goes that over a century ago, Toren's Bend was ruled by a usurper lord called Galdrin. Lord Galdrin was a heretic and routinely defied the teachings of the sisters, going so far as to mock Hester, saint of the harvest, and the most revered figure in Toren's Bend. The people of Hester's Mill, said to be extreme religious fanatics in the histories, rose up against Lord Galdrin and overthrew him, burning down his keep and murdering his soldiers. The sisters, and Saint Hester in particular, were so appalled by the brutality of the people of Hester's Mill, they laid a curse upon all of Toren's Bend, which caused the land to fallow and the village of Hester's Mill to wither away. And indeed, it was like this for decades. However, the land has recovered. It's growing, it's fruitful, but currently uninhabited because people are too superstitious to come back. They say that if you can find Hester's Mill, and indeed if you search it and the surrounding area, you might find abandoned valuables from that era, which may be of value to merchants and antiquarians. And so that's what you're here for. Now, this region, Toren's Bend, it is a semicircular bend in the titanic Toren River. It's almost entirely uninhabited, as noted, despite the fact it is some of the most arable land on the continent. Its formerly bustling roads are long overgrown, and the area has not been reliably mapped in decades. You have your first set for the incursion of Hester's Mill, called Toren's Bend, with the set goal: find the road to Hester's Mill. Let's just take a quick break, like 5 minutes. We'll come back and start. Toren's Bend. Find the road to Hester's Mill. By the time you arrive, the sun is hanging high in the sky, golden and hot. And the land really is quite overgrown. At one point, you come across a wild patch of fat, round pumpkins, gold, orange, green, purple. A gust of wind causes a pile of dead leaves to cyclone around you. And as it clears, you see a few things. Just up ahead, a statue, the base of which is overgrown. There's lots of growth around the bottom of it. And beyond that, maybe a quarter of a mile up the, well, it's not a road, but a quarter of a mile up the way, you see what appear to be the ruins of some old keep or castle. And so you're all there. What do you do?
How far away is the castle?
About a
Or
quarter of a
keep?
mile away or so.
Does it look like the kind of place that would have a view over the land? That we could
Yeah,
get a
it's
vantage point
mostly
from?
rubble, but there does seem to be a few still partially standing taller structures.
Perhaps we should head over there and get the lay of the land. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Start from the top and work our way down. Yeah.
Are we closer to the statue than we are to the castle?
Yes, the statue's not far at all.
I think I want to check out the statue first.
How do you do so?
Well, I mean, general, get a look at what the statue is, what it's doing, what the pose is, probably poke around at the base, see if anybody has left any offerings or treasures.
Make a hunt roll. Do you have a relevant skill here? Or are you using a piece of equipment that would be helpful?
Question. No, I don't have anything useful.
Then do a 1-die hunt roll.
Got a 4.
Take a token. The statue appears to be a statue of Lord Galdrin himself, this usurper lord, this heretic who was overthrown in the history. The statue is actually posed in a manner similar to how the sisters are traditionally depicted, arms crossed over the chest. And indeed, like Saint Hester, like your butter statue, he has a sickle in one hand, but in the other hand, instead of a cornucopia or a sheath of wheat, it's a sword. You also, as you're stepping through this brush, you step into something that has a bit of give. There's a softness, a squishiness, I would say. Indeed, down at your boot, Magda, there is a ball of vipers, all tangled up in a mass. What do you do?
I very gently lift my foot out.
This is a risk roll. Ben, what could go wrong here?
A snake has wound its way up behind your leg and is making home for an appearance later.
Oh, intriguing. That might be a good devil's bargain as well. Jack, do you have a devil's bargain? Well, let's talk about dice. Magda, do you have a die that will help you or a skill that will help you?
Athletics, defense.
I'll take it. Jack, you can make the devil's bargain offer.
So my bargain is that these serpents, these vipers, are known to have hallucinogenic venom, and one will bite you, and you will start to hallucinate things.
But you'll otherwise be safe.
Yeah, I'm gonna take that. That sounds fun.
Good. And let's I'll make, well, okay, you can take that offer. You got 2 light dice, and I think a dark die is automatic, so go ahead and roll 2 light, 1 dark.
That's a 5 light.
A 5 light. You are going to be safe. You will get bit, but you will not be able to actually do anything about the snakes, and you won't be able to further investigate the statue unless you want to add a dark die and try again for a 6.
I'll do 1 try.
Okay. 6 dark.
I got a 6.
I think the ruin is just from the venom pumping in your veins. But you otherwise are able to sort of kick the snakes away or just do something, get them out of the way. So you still have access to the statue. Just give me the scene.
I think when I put my foot down and I notice that it's a bit squishy, I look down, and as I look down, one of the snakes just sort of looks up at me in this nest, this twisted pile of snakes, and I've sort of nod my head at it in greeting and very, very slowly and gently lift my foot up to bring it back. When I put it back on the ground, however, one of the snakes has snuck its way out of the pile of snakes, and I step on it just a little bit, just enough, not enough to hurt it, but enough to scare it, and it bites me on the back of my leg. I look back up at the statue, and I think it probably appears to be moving.
I think it does. Indeed. Well, what do you do about the snakes though? How are the snakes no longer a problem? Do you like bat them away or something? Because they're like in a big ball.
Yeah, I don't think they're that bothered with me. They're doing their own thing.
Oh, I
They
see. So
don't.
you
They
just
were
walk
only.
around them. As long as you know they're
Yeah.
there. Yeah, as long as you know they're there.
Yeah,
they're
I
fine.
stepped on them. They
Yeah.
were just being acting defensively.
Yeah. Indeed, the statue does take the sword arm and turn, and it points toward the keep, which now, Magda, is no longer in a ruin. The walls are tall and strong. They looked burnt previously, and now they're not. And then the statue resumes its formation. Of course,
Presume
Cassie
that
and Malkuth
the rest of us didn't see
you
that.
do not see that, no. It all looks the way it does to you. You might be aware of the snakes, though. Cassian, what are you doing?
I think if I saw the snakes and the bite and maybe caught a hint of Magda's pupils going real wide, I think with my skills in beasts, I'd have some idea what's happening. I'm going to say, Magda, your sword. And he'll just hold out his hand.
What about it?
Quickly.
Quickly where? We should go to this keep. It looked really bad before. It looks so much nicer now. I mustn't have noticed.
He'll turn to
Onwards!
But nah, she's been bitten. The snake will be making her hallucinate.
Magda, take a
Yes.
condition hallucinating.
Lucky Magda.
Just don't trip. I mean, fall.
I do take out my sword, but I'm pointing the way, like in front of me, as I march towards the keep, very purposefully.
I'll be giving her a wide berth.
Well, she can lead the way for us, I suppose.
She seems in a great mood, at least.
For now.
Yeah, I'll follow her.
It's all I had to hand, unfortunately. Good. Well, so it sounds like you're all following Magda then?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Magda, sounds like you're marching toward the keep.
Yeah, I'm singing Magda and the Patchwork Ghosts, which, of course, as everybody knows, weren't really ghosts because ghosts aren't real, and that's part of the song. But yeah, I'm singing
Magda, when you
loudly.
reach the keep, there is a soldier that challenges you at the front gate. He says, "State your name."
I am Magda.
Ah, Magda. Magda of the Starlight Serpent fame.
So you've heard of me, as expected.
Magda and the sweltering crevasse. I like that one a lot.
It was one of my more, well, spicy adventures.
Magda, why have you come here?
We, and I gesture to my colleagues, have come
Everyone,
to...
Magda is talking to herself presently. There's no one there at the gate.
We have come to explore the area of Toren's Bend and hoping to find Hester's mill. Do you know where it is?
The soldier says, "I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to share that information with you. The people of Hester's Mill are getting ready to march on this fort, and none of us are going to survive the night."
Oh. I'm going to kind of poke at the fort a little bit with my sword. It seems like a very sturdy fort. I can't imagine you're going to have any trouble with some townsfolk.
Yeah, the fort is like in a rubble. There's burn marks everywhere. It looks like more than just villagers sacked this thing. Malkuth, what are you doing right now? I don't think Magda's any use here.
He's looking to the others, like, why is she talking to that sconce? Is this the
Who can
hallucination?
say? I presume it must be.
Oh well.
Leave her to it. She's doing no harm.
Should one of us maybe at least stick with her? She might, end up stepping on more snakes.
Thank you for volunteering. And I'll head into the ruins.
Cassian, as you get into the ruins, what are you doing?
So is there anywhere with some height that we can maybe see a road from?
I think so. Yeah, there's probably like a tall structure that was maybe like a tower at one point, and it's still mostly intact. Yeah.
I'll start heading that way, and on the way, scout for any artifacts, perhaps.
Sure. Do a hunt roll.
I don't think anything really applies here. A 1.
A 1. Cassian, you are kind of working your way through the rubble. You do reach this tower. To get to the top of it, you just have to go inside from the side you're on and then go up, and there's a stairway inside of it that goes up to the top. As you're doing that, as you step inside, you feel atop your head, I don't know if you wear a helmet or not, but you feel atop your head or your helmet, whatever you have, a little dripping, a drip, 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 drip. And when you look up, something drips into your mouth, onto your lip. It has the taste of bile mixed with grave dirt and rotting flesh. Indeed, clinging to the inside of the tower wall, there is an emaciated creature. Loping, emaciated humanoid with rows of razor-sharp teeth, claw-like hands and feet, yellow feral eyes, the stench of the grave. It is not dislike the Starborn creatures, or whatever we ended up naming them, from back in the Temple of the Peerless Star, but it doesn't look it looks much worse for wear than those did. This thing is, it kind of lets out like a raspy hiss, and more of that dripping stuff from its mouth dribbles down. Meanwhile, Malkuth and Banal, you're not aware of any of that. You haven't made it to the tower yet. Banal, what are you doing?
I think seeing that Cassian is headed for the high spot to look out, I think Banal's taking the opportunity to have a good poke around through the rubble in the interior of this tower, looking for, well, anything interesting, hopefully of value.
You can just make a hunt roll unless you want to describe, or if you can describe how your skills are helping you, or in the manner of
let's
your
take a
exploration, you can
look.
certainly do that.
Yeah, I'll just make a straight roll, I think. I don't have like appraisal or anything like that. Ah, but I got a 6 light.
Indeed, take a token. As you are moving around this space, you come upon what seems to be, it's in ruins, and the structure is mostly destroyed, or at least there's light coming in from the roof of it. But it appears to have been like a sort of audience chamber, or maybe an office or something like that. You see some furniture that looks like it was either a table or a desk. And if you start rummaging around in there, you will find a pile of documents that have managed to survive pretty well into this year. They are moldered, and they're not all probably capable of surviving much of a journey, given that they're quite frail. But ledgers, letters, things like that, you can add that to your found equipment. Malkuth, what are you doing right now?
Doing that sort of thing where he, like a kid with its mom at its supermarket, where he's supposed to stay close to her and watch her, but it's sort of starting to like look around and drift off the path. But I think he is going to sort of look off the road and see if he can find any kind of like any other kind of paths that may have been grown over that lead elsewhere.
Yeah, I think you want to start like kind of looking on the ground, kind of pulling away foliage to see if you can find what you're here to kind of find.
Yeah.
Go ahead and make a hunt roll.
Cool. And can I add my light die for paths?
I'll take it, yeah.
Cool. It's a 5.
Take your token, but you will encounter something terrible. Malkuth, you hear, I think there's like a portion of wall above you where you're searching, and you hear like a slight shift, a grinding of stone on stone. Magda, the soldier, says to you, "This keep is very strong, but I think perhaps a bit of the masonry is about to fall down on top of your colleague."
Oh dear. I would like to try and stop that from happening.
Indeed. Cassian, this thing that's clinging to the inside of the tower leaps down and attacks you. This is a combat roll. It is an endurance 8. Please tell me how you're vulnerable.
The goo that has dripped into my mouth, I've been too busy trying to fight the nausea and impulse to hurl.
By all means, please roll your weak point.
2.
Point is 2, and go ahead and do the first combat roll as well. A 2. It leaps down. It actually, unfortunately for you, has a defense called Sever Limb. It gets your... What kind of weapon do you have?
A gnarled staff.
It gets your staff hand, your wrist in its mouth. It knows exactly what to do. and the teeth have exquisite scissoring capabilities, and you just feel it cutting right through the tendons, right through the bone. Your hand just falls right off, and the staff clinks to the ground. And your ruin goes up by 1 as well.
Can I put on a mask?
You may not put on a mask. You can tell me, though, if you call for help.
Oh, yeah, people will hear.
Yeah, everyone's now hearing Cassian scream. Magda, regrettably, there's a piece of masonry about to fall down on top of Malkuth. What do you do?
I'm not sure how effective this is going to be considering I'm hallucinating things, but I think if I can spot where Malkuth is, I'm going to do like a running headbutt just to push him out of the way of wherever, because I don't know what's going to fall or where. I just know that he needs to not be standing where he is.
Ben, what could go wrong here?
The collapse is actually over Magda, and Magda will get pinned to the ground.
Do you have a skill that will help you out here, Magda?
Athletics.
I'll take it. Rob, you can offer the devil's bargain.
I think no matter what, in the act of you pushing Malkuth out of the way, some of the rubble is going to hit you instead.
Well, either get crushed by the rubble or a little bit of rubble. So I'll take the little bit of rubble.
I think just to make it a more like precise devil's bargain, we might say that like a part of your equipment gets crushed.
Oh.
Since the default state of getting your ruin increased is you getting hit by the rubble, right? So,
Yeah.
If
Maybe
Rob's okay
that's-
with that adjustment.
Yeah, maybe that sword of yours, Magda, is...
My awesome sword. Then I wouldn't be able to fight.
So do you reject the bargain?
Yeah. I think I do, because then I wouldn't be able to be in any of the combat.
1 light, 1 dark, unless you've got fashioned another weapon somehow, but 1 light, 1 dark.
Yeah.
Or found a weapon.
Dang, 4 dark.
4
My
dark.
ruin goes up.
You otherwise succeed. I think you just take a bit of masonry to the shoulder, and I'm going to give you sore shoulder. But otherwise, describe how you save Malkuth.
I think it's in Magda's mind, it's very graceful and really a powerful moment where she goes running and catches her friend around the waist, pushing him out of the way as this large boulder, this big chunk of the masonry falls out and lands on the ground with a big thump. And she's saved Malkuth's life, and he's so grateful. In reality, it's like a stumble forward and just like a basically body checking him out of the way as she falls down onto her side and is sort of rolled around on her back looking up at the clouds.
Cassian is screaming from the inside of the tower. What do you do?
I think I quickly stuff these papers that I found into whatever bag I have and draw my sword and run to see what the problem is.
You can get inside pretty quickly and see that Cassian is minus a hand. Cassian, please put severed hand as a condition. And there's this emaciated, horrifying, clawed, toothy creature, a merc freak, if you will.
Other merc freak.
That he's scrambling with. So what do you do?
I think I try and find a clear, wait for it to turn in the right direction and give a thrust with my sword.
How are you vulnerable in the combat?
I think I may be off balance on these rickety stairs that we're halfway up, and the footing is pretty unsure here.
Yeah, I'll take it. You've got a combat. Well, give us your weak point first.
Yeah, let's do a weak. 2.
2 is the bad number. Go ahead and roll combat 3 now. 1, 5, and 5. That is enough to destroy it. Please describe saving Cassian from this creature.
Yeah, I think Cassian is. This thing has whatever remains of his hand in its mouth, and he's just wrestling with it. They're tangled, and Bernard just kind of carefully waits for the right opening, and as they turn, he just suddenly thrusts with his sword and pierces it straight through the neck and up through its head, and the blade comes out of the top of its head, and as he withdraws, it falls to the ground.
Indeed.
Cassian, are you? By the sisters, man, you're hurt.
I think Cassian is rolled onto his side and is just cradling the stump to his chest, and he just shoots Bernard that really look.
I love it. Magda and Malkuth, you'll quickly be aware of the commotion as well. The soldier says to you, Magda, it seems we have something of an invader inside the keep. Someone's not doing their job.
But an invader, one of the townsfolk? One of
I don't
Hester's
know.
mills?
Perhaps it's a scout for the inevitable attack we're going to suffer tonight.
My friend, what if my colleagues and I take care of this intruder? Will you show us the way to Hester's mill then?
Yes, I think so. I think you're probably going to have to spend the night here anyway.
Well, it's nice, safe place, and we could possibly help with your worries about this invasion. So yes, I suppose that sounds. Thank you so much for your courtesy.
Indeed. I'll make sure we find you comfortable accommodations. Malkuth, Magda's going crazy or whatever's going on with her, but
Yeah.
you hear the commotion, Malkuth. I assume you respond.
Yeah, he'll look at Magda talking to this rock, and he'll go, "Good, Magda, good." And he'll start to help her to her feet. But I think as he does, underneath the rubble, he kind of yelps internally and kind of steps back. And I think that it's okay. I think that he sees a little teddy bear poking out from underneath the rubble.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, I'm into that. Do you take it?
No, he clutches himself, and
Indeed.
he starts to pull Magda closer to the keep.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and get a gold roll. Cassian, you can roll a gold 8. One gold. What part of this creature's body is of value?
Besides my hand, maybe one of those scissoring fangs.
Yeah, a set of the teeth would probably be quite. They're very strong and sharp. Whoever wants to take the creature's teeth can certainly do so. They're worth 1 gold.
Is Cassian in a fit state to be? I guess he's looking to recover his hand from in that maw.
It's still in his wrist, actually, so it's easy.
Yeah, Bernard's just kind of examining the creature itself to add it to the bestiary.
Cassian, what are you doing about your stump?
Trying to staunch the blood as well as I can.
I think you can do that. It's going to leave you quite weak because you will have lost quite a bit of blood. And between trying to bandage your stump and recover, I just don't think the group is going to be able to go much further today. You're going to have to take some time here. But nevertheless, that's plenty of time to get the lay of the land and figure out where the road is.
Oh my God, Cassian, are you okay? What happened?
Not particularly.
Let me double check with the soldiers here and see if they have a healer that might be able to help you.
Yes, you go do that.
I'm going to go do that.
The soldier says, "We've found you excellent accommodations for the evening, Magda. And I have to confess, I I think that everyone here is a little bit starstruck by having you inside the keep with us tonight. I have already said that you are going to help us defend the place, and, well, everyone feels they are heartened. They are emboldened and invigorated for repelling the assault, because a legendary figure like you is here to aid us.
Of course. My friend, what is the name of this keep?
Why, this, of course, is River Rock Keep, the holdfast of Lord Galdrin. He is the lord of these lands.
Magda and the soldiers of River Rock Keep.
Magda and the assault on River Rock Keep.
This is going to be an incredible story, my friend.
He does show you a space that, well, in your mind, it looks like fabulous and luxurious Magda. To everyone else, it does actually look like the most defensible place in the structure. It has a door, and the roof is mostly intact. And so, if you were going to just rest for a few hours until Cassian can recover, or until the next morning, you can certainly do that. What is everyone doing right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think if it's the most defensible looking place, Malkuth will start to file in, making sure that there is space for everybody and clearing out any kind of rubble that might be that maybe he could use to sort of fortify the entrance so that nothing could come in.
If my soldier friends have a healer, then I will try and ask them to help my friend who's lost his hand. And then maybe see if my soldier friends will point in the direction of where the road is.
Indeed. Your soldier friends are no help in pointing out where the road is, because you, Magda, don't know where the road is. There is also no healer. They say, our healer is, well, sick today, if you can imagine the irony of that.
I think Bernard's sitting down to look through these journals and ledgers and papers that he recovered from that office and see, you never know, maybe somebody has drawn a map, or there's, if it's ledgers about the income of this keep, there might be some kind of indication of where the layout of things are that tithe to the lord of this keep.
Indeed, yeah. And in fact, I don't even need you to make a roll. Well, no, let's have a roll, because you might discover something terrible too. You can do it with 2 dice though, because you have the ledgers and the records.
A 6 light.
Take a token. Yeah. Hester's Mill. There is some correspondence re Hester's Mill that is essentially sort of intelligence from Hester's Mill, or from someone embedded with the people of Hester's Mill. They are indeed going to march on the keep at a certain point, according to this document, and a recommendation is made to block the road. And that kind of lets you see in the terrain what to look for. Indeed, you see a bunch of piled up logs and trees. They're quite rotted by now, but that is almost certainly where the road is. And if you go over there and investigate and start pulling up the foliage and the overgrowth, you'll see the road there. So the road is found. That's Sekolmet.
I will point that out to the others and say, see, the wisdom one can glean from these kind of records. One does not need to stumble blindly into a solution.
Well, I'm glad you can read. But no, that's great. We should probably settle down for the night, though. It's getting dark and, well, woods.
And perhaps we can see if we can do anything for poor Cassian there.
Yeah, how you holding up, buddy?
I think Cassian is chewing on a root with a mild analgesic power. And he just looks up at Malkuth like, how do you think?
I love all these like sort of like placating, platitudinous entreaties to Cassian about how he's doing. It's like his hand was like violently and cleanly severed off of his arm.
But I was just glad it wasn't him.
Malkuth will pull out like a little like woolen blanket that he carries for as part of his bed wrap, like a bedroll, and he'll just kind of drape it over Cassian's shoulders and go, there. We'll make you a fire, get you all warm, make sure that you at least have a decent rest as much as you can.
Cassian, would you like an apple?
Uh,
I would say no to that.
Yeah. he'll look at Magda and kind of try and gauge the dilation of her pupils and say, I'm
pretty
not
big.
hungry.
Magda, I do think the venom is wearing off. You can clear that condition as you
good.
settle in for the evening.
I think I probably like kind of take a little, nap, drug-induced nap. And when I wake up, it's very weird that this place is destroyed. Like, what happened while I was napping? What did you guys do?
Nothing.
I fell asleep and this place was gorgeous and there was a whole table full of food right over there and a beautiful fire. What?
It'll just sort of look to Bana and Cassian like,
I don't know what to tell you, Magda, but I think that snake bite may have been playing tricks upon your mind.
I find that very hard to believe, Benna. We all know that I am not susceptible to things like venom.
As you say, of course. But I will just, with a kind of wry smile, ignore her.
Magda does not believe in ghosts or toxins, as it turns out.
Well, other people are affected by toxins, but not Magda.
Not Magda. Very
I'm
good.
special.
Malkuth, you're on watch.
We agreed that Magda would be on watch, though.
Mm.
For the whole night?
No, I think that's what he says, but knowing that she's been in and out of it all day, he'll just settle into the position.
Malkuth, you're on watch. You're all in this kind of small, mostly defensible space. And you hear on the other side of the door a little voice. At first, it sounds like the rustling of leaves, the snapping of twigs. But if you listen long enough, you start to make out what it's saying. It says, "Won't you play with me?" And indeed, you see the teddy bear on your side of the barrier. What do?
He chokes back a scream, and he starts to very violently and aggressively start to try and shake Bana awake.
Bana, you're awake.
What is it, man?
I don't want to alarm you. I think that Naughty Ebert followed me here.
Oh, this again.
Look, and he'll point towards the teddy bear that he sees, at least at the
Bana, you
door.
see the teddy bear as well. It's there. It has these beautiful onyx eyes.
And what am I looking at here, Malkuth?
You're looking at his teddy bear. It's like a lure with anglerfish have like those lights on their head.
What in the devil is an anglerfish?
You've never heard of anglerfish? My God.
I have a
Alright.
feeling someone has it tattooed on their body in Fort Durin if you ever want to go look into it in a
True.
yeah.
The point is that
Horrors of the Briny Deep is the name of that person.
Oh. The point is that he uses this as a lure, and someone who picks it up is marked. And I didn't pick it up. He wanted me to pick it up because he wanted to eat me. I didn't pick it up. He can't eat me, but he's trying to. So if you or anyone else picks it up, you will be eaten.
Malkuth, this is ridiculous. And Bernard will kind of stomp bad-temperedly over to the teddy bear, pick it up, and just throw it out of the keep and into the field outside.
So there is, I guess, a hole then that's on the exterior wall of the keep that you can throw it through.
Well, if it's a ruined keep, I'm feeling there's
there's probably a gap,
like caved in section of the or even just an arrow slit maybe that I can.
I think there's like a nice hole up in the corner of the room. You toss it over, and as soon as it flies in the air long enough to land somewhere, you hear and then you hear something scaling the wall on the outside. What do you do?
Malkuth, something is coming.
Oh, really?
Get ready.
Shocked.
I don't think it's a small child's ghost, Malkuth.
No, it's now a big, giant, evil monster that's going to eat both of us if we don't do something. And he'll start to kick Magda's boot.
I think, Bernard will kind of turn toward Cassian and then think twice and think, perhaps I'd best leave him to. He's not going to be much help. There's no point waking him.
There is something crawling through the hole. The hole does not seem wide enough for a body to be able to fit through, but this thing is ably and nimbly collapsing its limbs and bones to squeeze through, and it then clings to the roof of this chamber, which is it's kind of vaulted like 20 feet up. And it's one of those things that you killed earlier, Bana. And it's being joined by another one crawling through the hole right now. What are you all doing?
Stab.
It's
Smash.
20 feet high in the air on the
The
ceiling.
one coming through the hole is high enough up. Yeah. Okay.
There's a lot of rubble around, right?
There is.
I'm going to start whipping rubble at these things.
That'll engage a combat. You cannot run because you have fortified the door, the only exit. And so that is not a possibility. I think by the time as you're doing this, there are 3 of them, and they just drop down upon you. This is combat. It's an endurance 10. Please say how you're vulnerable and roll weak point.
I think it's just dark and a confined space, and in the confusion, there's so much danger of hitting one another, or even distinguishing which of these creatures is which is difficult. So,
indeed, roll a weak point.
Weak point 2 again.
2. They love 2s.
I think Malkuth is vulnerable because he's sort of frightened by this, and it's causing him to maybe lose focus, not be as on his game as he ought to be.
Mm-hmm.
Magda
get?
is just coming down off of Venom.
Yeah, exactly. Magda's weak point is 6 and Malkuth's is 1. This is an endurance 10. Cassian, you can stay asleep if you want, or you'll wake up eventually, but
I think the commotion would definitely wake him up.
do you want to join the combat right away?
Why not? Still got one hand.
I think it's obvious how you're vulnerable. You have a weak point of 1 as well. So 1, 2, 6, and 1. It's a combat 4, actually. Go ahead, Magda, roll it up.
Combat 4.
3, 4, 4, and 4. No weak points hit, but also not enough to defeat them. Let's just have the first part of the combat, Magda. Kick it off.
I think, yeah, I pick up some rubble. I'm kind of scrambling around with my hand along the ground because I just woke up. I don't even think I'm up off the ground yet. And I start hurling rocks and whatnot at these things as they drop down upon us. And it's like in the Shadow Temple in Ocarina of Time, where the hands drop on you. It looks like that. But we scramble out of the way and start to, kick and flail and fight as best we can to get back up onto our feet and get some footing.
I love it. Keep it going, Malkuth.
One leaps down directly onto Malkuth, and we see the kind of jaws scissoring in front of him, but he puts up his warhammer, and it starts to kind of tear into the leather of the handle. But we could see like the veins kind of pumping in Malkuth's arms. He's really struggling to keep this thing at bay, but he manages to push it up just enough to back it away.
Bana?
Yeah, I think Benar is trying to thrust at one as it drops, but it kind of twists its body in midair to avoid the blade, and then it's he's experiencing the same thing. He's trying to take a dueling posture and thrusting toward these things, but they're just contorting their bodies to dodge his thrusts.
And Cassian.
I think Cassian was just kind of blearily waking up when all this began, and when the Merc Freak drops on him, he raises his other arm to protect himself, and there's a moment of just pure terror in his face, and then just a clank as the teeth close on the mirrored snakeskin armor under his cloak.
Nice. It is now combat 5. Go ahead and roll it, Malkuth. That is a 5 and a 5 for a 10. But 1 and 2 also get a hit in. Let's you defeat them. Let's do that. So Malkuth, keep it going.
Because it hit the 1 weak point, it means it hit me, right?
Unless you mark armor, yeah.
Okay. Nah, I won't do that right now. But I do think that when he kicks the thing off, he's standing face to face with it, and sort of cocks its head a bit, adjusting its jaw before it leaps out again. It leaps on to Malkuth, and he bashes him into the wall behind him. But Malkuth just kind of drops the hammer and takes both of his hands and just rips the jaw open, tearing the top of the head from the rest of its body. But we see that Malkuth's hands have been mangled because of that.
Nice. Cassian, take some revenge on these things.
I think the one that has its teeth in his arm tears away his cloak, and as it is standing there puzzled with his still there hand, Cassian grabs a piece of rubble and just smashes it in the side of its head.
But there's one left. You can kill it or toss it to Magda.
Yeah, I think Benar is struggling with the thing, and it closes with him extremely rapidly, and those teeth just scissor shut, and there's a chunk of flesh it takes. And Bernard's like, leaps back, but he kind of manages to get a boot to it and kick it over toward Magda to finish it off.
Go ahead.
Oh, Magda takes her shield, and as this thing comes sort of towards her, she smashes it upside the side of its head with the side of the shield, pushes it into the wall, and she takes the pointy bottom of her rusted shield and jams it into its neck, severing its head from the body, and the body drops to the ground with a thunk. The head rolls off the shield and falls down beside it.
But now you can take a condition. It's just a flesh wound.
I took the ruin as well because I
Yeah.
didn't mark armor. Okay.
Well, Cassian, roll a gold 10.
1.
1. You all did a lot of bashing and smashing, but you are able to recover something of value from these creatures. Who wants to name it and claim it?
I feel like it should be Cassian for sacrificing a hand.
I got the last one.
So you're getting all these sympathy things now, Cassian.
Oh, well, yeah, sure, I'll take it.
What do you take, though?
Perhaps one of them was wearing a pendant.
Oh, okay, sure. Like what it had in its prior existence, whatever it was.
Or what it stole from another.
Oh, true.
victim.
Yeah. It's still like hanging for its tooth. I like it. It's great. Let's take a quick 5-minute break and we'll come back and pick up. A perhaps fitful night is spent in the keep. A more diligent watch is perhaps set. Not so much tossing things willy-nilly. And it's early the next morning. You can see the very faint pink rays of dawn coming in from that hole up in the wall. You know where the road is to Hester's Mill. You're all awake.
Cassian, you feeling up to this? Or do we need to leave you here?
I'm equal to this.
I think the poor man is best sticking with us rather than here after what happened last night.
Also that.
Oh, yes, of course. I keep forgetting that the people of the keep have abandoned us.
Several decades ago, at least.
It might have been their wraiths that attacked us in the night, don't you think, Magda? Now,
Are
do
you
you
trying to
believe in
suggest it was
ghosts?
their ghosts? I think we can all agree that what happened to me was some sort of strange time shift. Obviously.
And how do you explain those creatures?
The same as creatures everywhere that we've run into so many times before. Sometimes creatures show up.
Agents of him.
Him who?
Naughty Everett.
Oh,
Oh. Cassian, how about you and I set the pace this morning, leave these two to babble their lunacy to one another?
Yes, but you can take the lead this time.
Gladly.
The road to Hester's Mill is overgrown, but easy to follow once it's found, and indeed you have found it. As you set out on it for a bit, you discover very quickly that you're actually in an elevated position. And you can see down in a sort of open little plain a number of things. First, you see a campsite. Currently being used, there is smoke coming from a dying fire. There is someone else here, contrary to what you were led to believe about this land. You see a shrine, probably to Saint Hester, along the road. Such shrines, these little roadside shrines, are quite common. You see what is probably the village itself. There is a large mill that you can see. It's not a windmill or a water mill, which is weird because there's a river, but it's just it's an old style mill where they probably use a stone to grind the grain. And there's also other buildings that suggest a village. North of the village, there is what appears to be a farmhouse and some incredibly tidy and neat fields of corn. And then you see to the south of the village what appears to be a gallows, a hill where people were hung. And you see the gallows on it.
So the shrine and the campsite are kind of along the road on the way to the village?
Yes, the campsite's a little bit off the road, but visible from your spot. The shrine is right by the road, a little further ahead, and then the village is the next thing on the road.
And it's just that one person at the camp?
Well, it's hard to tell about the camp. You just see smoke and a fire. There's, as best you can tell, there's no one there right now, but
Could I scope out the shrine, see if I can get any kind of information, or see if
I
there's
think you'd have
might
to
be
get
treasure?
closer.
Yeah, I'll get closer.
I mean, if you're going to set out on the road, that's what we're going to do. Because you can only see it because of your elevated spot. It's probably like a good.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It's probably a good
okay.
half mile away, right?
Got it. Okay.
Cassian, I think we head toward that shrine, and then perhaps we'd better take a look at whoever that is camping over there. I'd rather they were in front of us than behind us if we proceed to the village. What do you say?
I agree. Perhaps they will be willing to trade.
That's if they're in the same, time era as we are. They might be from the past or from the future.
The smoke might be a clue, Magda.
Smoke.
I was about to
from the
say.
past.
Of course. Let's deal with that possibility as it arises, Magda.
Exactly. Now
And
you're thinking better. Now you're thinking.
Bernal kind of turn toward Cassian and roll his eyes.
It's a wonder she didn't stab herself, truly.
I cannot wait to hear the song that is made of this.
I can.
Epic tale.
Very good. So you're gonna head to the shrine first, then. It's not far. It is a small shrine that, as you get closer, you realize it's like a few dozen paces off the road, but still visible. The exterior is decorated with carved symbols sacred to Saint Hester, a cornucopia, a sickle, sheaths of wheat, gourds. Malkuth, you expressed an interest in it. What do you do?
Yeah, if it's okay, I'd like to lurk around, see if I can get any sort of clue as to what was going on here, what sort of rituals are taking place here, what kind of offerings.
Are you going to go in the shrine, or are you looking at the exterior? Okay.
I'm looking to go inside.
Yeah, inside the shrine. Well, go ahead and make a hunt roll.
Okay. Can I add a light for my ritual skill?
I'll take that. Yeah.
Cool. 6 light.
Inside the shrine, take a token. Inside the shrine are a half dozen prayer plinths set before a statue of Saint Hester, a proper statue of Saint Hester. Arms crossed, wheat, sickle. And because of, well, it's a small space. Like the whole thing is probably the size of like one of those sheds you get at Home Depot. Like it's very, very compact little space. You even have to maybe duck down a little bit to walk around in it, which makes sense because people here should be kneeling, right? Because of the way you framed your investigation, though, I will tell you that you'll notice that there is an offering bowl set at the base of the statue. And there are a few pieces of what appear to be polished amber in the offering bowl.
Does it look like there's like a film of sort of dust on it, or does it look sort of recent?
Oh, because you got a 6, I'll tell you that this is not recent, no.
Okay. Well, I mean, if it's here, I think Malkuth would sort of look up to the statue of Hester. Forgive me, and he'll pack out some of the amber. It's okay.
If you take the amber, it's altogether worth 1 gold. Magda, what are you doing?
I think I'm going to look around in the brush, sort of around the statue, see if there was any other offerings that may have been, knocked over by animals or people as they fled, or anything like that. Just want to see what's around. See if anyone
Yeah,
left
you can do
anything.
that. Yeah. Make a hunt roll.
And I don't have anything to help. I'm bad at hunting. Really bad. Got a 3.
You encounter something terrible. You don't have any reason to believe that a shrine like this would have a basement because it's so small. And yet, as you're looking around the base of the statue, Magda, you smell a stagnant, foul bit of air coming from the base of the statue. Indeed, the statue is covering up an open space.
How big is this statue? Can I move it?
Yes, you can move it.
I want to sort of shove it off the open space.
When you move it, there is a ladder that does indeed go down into a basement area.
Cassian, do you think you can climb ladders anymore?
I think Cassian will have his right arm in a sling made out of his old cloak, and he'll kind of flex his left hand and say, I think so.
I'm going to start climbing down.
What's everyone else doing right now, Bana?
I think I would, yeah. I think Bernard would have followed Cassian, or Malkuth rather, inside the shrine and be poking around at some of those prayer plinths and looking for anything. But once we know there's a way down, that sounds like a good, productive way to search.
I will tell you, since the space is so small and there's really no place to hide anything, I will tell you that you find a couple of interesting things by the prayer plinths. One, a hymnal sacred to Saint Hester, and a holy symbol made from twigs and corn husks. Neither of these things have any gold value, but they might be useful in some other way.
Can I spend a token to find something? I'm
Of
conscious
value?
that I
Sure.
have. Yes.
You will also find, give me a moment. You will also find rolled up and tucked in one corner of the shrine what appears to be an old tapestry. If you unroll the tapestry, you'll see that it depicts it's a embroidered depiction of this region. You see the mill, you see corn woven with gold thread. It's worth 1 gold.
Ooh, I'll take that, and I think I might take the little straw figure as well.
Yeah. Meanwhile, everyone else going down in the hole?
Cassian will follow.
Magda, you're
Normally, I would have dropped a torch down or something, but I think because I had rolled to encounter something terrible, I think I have to lean into that a little.
you can't. I mean, it's there's probably honestly enough light coming in from the door of the shrine to see at a basic level what's down there. You'll have to probably light a lantern or something once you get down to see anything, but you're the first one down, Magda. Do you have a candle or a torch or something?
Yep, I have a torch.
Go ahead and mark that. I'll tell you that what you see in this basement area, which is about, I would say it's actually about like 4 times the area of the shrine itself underneath the shrine. The walls have been painted with scenes depicting a story that's told from one side wrapping around to the other side. On the left, what is presumably the beginning of the story, it is bucolic, it is pastoral, it is lovely. On the far end, it is all blood and madness. We have a set goal for this Road to Hester's Mill set, which is learn the secret history of Hester's Mill. You may have stumbled onto it, but you might have to do some further study to get the exact story out. Malkuth, you're down there. Cassian, you're down there. Bernard, you follow?
Yes.
You're all down here in this space, and that's what you see at a glance, is this story on the walls. Malkuth, what do you do?
I think he's following the light that Magda's shining, and I think when she gets to the gory end, he was probably already closest to that wall and sort of turns to it and starts to fixate on some of the details, seeing if there's any sort of indication as to what type of bloody mayhem might have occurred.
Do a hunt roll.
I don't think I have any skills that would help. Oh, fun. That's 2.
While Malkuth is studying the mural, Cassian, what are you doing?
I think he'd also be studying the mural to see if there's anything that could be useful for their upcoming hunt for treasure.
Make a hunt roll.
I don't suppose tracking is useful to maybe
I don't think so.
paths. No,
Yeah, that feels a bit attenuated.
3.
3. You also encounter something terrible. Bernard, what are you doing while they're looking over this story?
Yeah, I think I'm trying to perhaps pull out the journals and ledgers that I found earlier and try and correlate some of the elements of the story depicted here with what's recorded in those books, and see if I can make any sense of.
You can make a 2-die hunt roll.
Five.
Take your token, but you encounter something terrible. And I'll also let you know what you learn as well in a bit. Magda, while they're doing that, Magda, you notice on the other side of the room, on the far side, the light of your torch catches a glimmer. What do you do?
I would like to go and investigate that glimmer. Might be treasure.
Might be indeed. The thing that was glimmering is a little statue, a secret shrine below this shrine. The statue, which is small enough to be carried, is of a crow wearing a crown and wielding a scepter. It is gold, or at least gold-plated. There are half-burnt candles all around, and profane symbols scrawled on the floor around it in charcoal. What do you do?
Have I heard any songs or stories about this crow
You can make a hunt roll.
possible deity? I don't think I really have anything that will help me with my hunt roll, so just roll it. Hey, 6.
Take your token. I'll tell you what you learn in a minute. Malkuth, Cassian, Bana. You have this light of the torch that you're using to look at the story. And you're starting to notice, as you examine the mural, that it's very dark where the wall meets the ceiling of the space. And then you notice that the light of the torch is not penetrating the ceiling. It's just blackness above you. And then you'll notice that blackness undulates. And then you'll notice that the ceiling is in fact a mass of crow-like things hanging from it like bats. They are like crow heads, but just the head and 2 little stubby wings. And the lower half of their body attached to the ceiling is oily black tentacles. And they begin dropping down all around you. On the ground, they're actually quite wee. They're maybe like 4 or 5 feet tall, but there's a bunch of them. And they are hissing and snapping and trying to entangle you with their little tentacles. Collectively, they are a endurance 10. Please say how you're vulnerable and roll weak point.
The realization of what was going on for Bernard is just absolutely horrifying, that he's walked into this trap and it's all around him. He has this feeling of being swallowed almost, and his skin is crawling, and every nerve in his body is screaming at him to run for the ladder.
Roll weak point.
Let's see.
Which you, by the way, can do if you want to run away.
It's a possibility. It's a 1.
A 1. Magda, how are you vulnerable?
Well, I'm bent over this statue. I wasn't paying attention to what the rest of them were paying attention to, so this is all going to catch me by surprise once I, pick up the statue and pocket it.
Roll weak point. 3. Cassian?
I'm weakened and would be fighting with my offhand.
What'd you get?
2.
2. Malkuth?
It's not the dark or the confined space that upsets him, but I think it's just the sheer number of these things that really he feels like he'll be overwhelmed by them. And it's a 3.
So we have a 1, a 3, a 2, and a 3. All right, so 1, 2, 3 are bad numbers. Cassian, you can do the combat roll. It's combat 4, looking for 10 on 2 dice.
10.
Hey, there you go. You got a 1 and a 2, but also 2 5s. So Bana and Cassian, you're taking a hit unless you mark armor. But otherwise, you are able to defeat these things. Let's kick off the combat. Cassian, you can kick it off. There's probably about, in total, like 6 of these things.
I think he'll just take his staff and instead of whacking at it, he's going to drive forward with the point, catching one of the birds right in its open maw and driving it to the ground until there's a crunch. But another one will get his, will snap at his leg before his amulet of protection kicks in.
Very good. So you took the ruin or not?
I did not. I marked armor.
Oh, you marked it. Okay. Malkuth, keep it going.
Realizing he can't really, if he swings too wildly, he will hit someone else. I think he just sort of goes in with his hands and starts to kind of like, tear them up, trying to rip heads from bodies and just sort of like throwing them out of the way, trying to keep them away from himself, but also the others, sort of like throwing bodies at the wall.
Bana.
I think Bana is almost screaming in fear of and horror of these things, and just slashing wildly left and right with his saber, and beheads a couple of them, but something hits him. He doesn't even see from where, or whether it's one of them or one of his companions' backswing. But he takes a few of them out, but takes some kind of hit himself.
Magda, finish the combat.
I think I pick up the statue and put it in my pack with one hand and pull out my sword with the other. And it's just a
I'm
flurry
going to
of
stop you
steel.
right there.
Uh-oh, I did a bad thing.
If you picked up the statue, you are now a servant of Malfast. You do not finish the combat. You hesitate. It goes to another round. It is endurance 8. Bana. Magda's just standing there doing nothing. Bana, roll a combat 5.
I think he's kind of is fighting and looking over at Magda and, help us, what are you doing?
There's just a couple of them left now, but they're still an endurance 8.
Oh boy. 3 4s, a 3 and a 1.
3 4s.
So that's enough to beat them, but I take another hit, and
so does
Malkuth.
So does Malkuth, yeah. But it is enough to defeat them. Well, Malkuth, once you realize Magda's not pitching in here, what do you do?
So I think when he was ripping and throwing the bodies, there was a moment where he did throw one of the corpses at the back of Bana's head and probably knocked him back a bit, but then sees Magda and what are you doing? Come on. And as he's saying that, they're starting to like waddle towards him and start to swell around his waist and his legs, and they start to peck at him. And I think that just really sets him off. And he just kind of like tears into them some more, kind of like peeling them off of his body. And he throws the head of one of them at Magda, trying to get her attention.
Cassian, finish them off.
I think we just see Cassian swinging wildly with his staff and trying his best to be effective even with his wrong hand. And there's just a crack as he hits one right in the back of its head. It collapses and he stands there panting and looks at Magda. What are you doing?
Before we get to that, Bana, roll a gold 10.
The sidebar thing's disappeared from my...
If you click the rolls button
Oh,
up at the
yeah,
top,
got
you
it,
should
got
be
it,
able to
got it.
get it back.
My bad. Yeah, got it. 2 gold.
2 gold. Think about what you're going to salvage from these creatures, but let's keep that scene going. Magda, picking up the statue gives you a condition called Servant of Malfast. I shall type that for you. And Magda, I think this first impresses upon you with the great sense of sorrow at seeing these crow creatures dead. What do you do? What does the scene look like?
I think it feels like everything is in slow motion. And I turn to see my colleagues fighting these creatures, and Malkuth tearing the head off of one and throwing it at me. And as it comes towards me, it's like its eyes are boring into mine, and I can almost see it crying as it hits me and falls to the ground. I look up at Malkuth and I'm crying too. This is horrible. This is a horrible murder. What they've done is we've done bad things, sure, but we've never done anything bad to creatures that didn't deserve it.
For what it's worth, the statue is worth 4 gold.
With Magda looking at Malkuth, I think Malkuth doesn't realize it at first. I've marked the gauntlet, the studded gauntlets that I have for armor. So he's kind of peeling off some of the icky tentacle mess that's been clinging to him. He looks up at her and sees her weeping. Goes, "Did I hit you? I'm sorry. What's wrong? Are you okay?"
Magda's speechless. She can't think of anything to say.
Right. Cassian, but now you guys all right?
Fine enough. She bit by
As-
another snake.
No? Question mark?
Magda, what are you doing?
What am I doing? What am I doing? What are you doing? What have you done?
We've not been killed by a bunch of crow things.
You've attacking beautiful creatures such as this for no reason? Is this the type of colleague I have? Are
No,
you
no.
the type of people I hang around with?
No, there was good reasons like being attacked by them. Self-defense.
Murderers. Murderers, all of you. This is not going to be part of my story. What you've done here. This is not going to be sung about in one of my songs.
Malkuth, I think we need to take her sword away before
Yeah.
she turns it on one of us.
Yeah. Hey, Ed. And do we see that you have the statue, or is it sort of tucked away?
Oh, I've tucked it away.
Okay.
I'm protecting it now.
Of course. Magda, let's just go up, get some air. I think we're just all a little bit, I've seen this in other miners before when they're down below. It's yeah, they go a little mad because of the space and the darkness. So I get it.
You've gone like 15 feet below. Down below.
We're in a basement.
In the basement.
The light's still shining in.
Basements are scary.
Yeah.
When they're
So
full of
let's just go get some air. Let's just go up top.
I'm gonna pull out
And-
my sword.
Oh, okay.
You do not come one step closer. You don't. None of you come. Do not come near me.
I have no intention of coming anywhere near you, Magda. Please stop threatening us.
I think I'm gonna sort of circle around the basement, the room, with the sword pointed at the three of them, and try and make my way up the ladder.
If no one stops you, you can.
Do we want to stop her?
Oh,
She might get hurt.
We might
she
get
might try and
hurt.
behead us, the first one of us up that ladder. Is more my concern, Malkuth.
Gazian?
I'm already down one limb.
I
Good
climb
luck,
up-
Magda.
I climb up the ladder and I move to push the statue back over the entrance.
That will permanently trap them, but it will slow them down if they were to chase you. We'll come back to you in a bit, Magda. The rest of you, you can take the rest of the time you need to, well, first of all, loot these creatures and to figure out the rest of the story on the mural. First of all, let's loot the creatures. What did you find recoverable from these tentacle crow things?
I think their plumage is actually kind of iridescent and in its way quite beautiful when separated from the monstrous body itself. But I think we can take collect feathers from them, and they might be worth something.
Yeah, we can have it be 2 gold worth of feathers, or it can be 1 gold worth of feathers and then another gold for something else.
Anyone got any?
I think maybe back at Otho's banquet that we went to, we probably saw maybe these like little black tentacles as part of the meal. And in Malkuth said he thinks that, oh well, maybe that's what that was. So he'll try to salvage them so that we can tell him this meal.
But now, what are we going to name these things so that you can note in your gear?
I've written down cephalocorvids.
Cephalocorvids. There we go. Cephalocorvid tentacles and cephalocorvid feathers. The rest of the story is indeed the secret history of Hester's Mill, which is your set goal. I will tell it to you now. The rough contours of the history that you know are true, but it does leave out some important details. For a start, Lord Galdrin was more than a mere heretic. He was, in fact, a brutal tyrant who had no love for the people of his newly conquered lands, and he inflicted a regime of violence and forced labor upon them. This is depicted in the drawings. The people of Hester's Mill, dedicated as they were to their saint, were given special attention by this cruel heretical lord. So, in other words, Lord Galdrin had it coming. Another detail that the known history misses is that the people of Hester's Mill were unable to fight back against Lord Galdrin by normal means. They were so desperate to be free of his yoke, they sought the help of... It's unclear who exactly she is from the picture, but she appears to be some sort of sorceress. This sorceress used her talents to contact a greater demon, which has the appearance of a crow wearing a crown. This demon showed her how to create an army that could fight back against Galdrin's soldiers. Following the demon's instructions, the people of Hester's Mill captured a soldier and sacrificed him beneath a specially prepared millstone, and then they drank the slurry of blood and bone produced from it. This caused them each, man and woman alike, to become pregnant with and later birth the cephalocorvids that would be unleashed on Lord Galdrin. His soldiers and, over time, common folk in other parts of Toren's Bend were captured and dragged to Hester's mill, where they were fed to the demon or sacrificed beneath the millstone. The people of Hester's mill even began to sacrifice each other when there were no more people in Toren's Bend to satisfy their demonic lord's hunger. The last thing you see in the picture is the sorceress running away in terror towards the farmhouse that is depicted, or that you've seen rather, from the road high up. Magda, where do you go once you're done with the group of murderers?
Yeah, I think I push the statue over the entrance as good as I can. I think probably when we pushed it originally, it sort of shook it off its base, and I don't think I can get it back on exactly, because trapping everybody in there is not a fun story. I I think I will head towards. I don't think I would head towards the campsite that we saw. I think I would head to the mill.
As you walk back out onto the road, you will come upon a cow carcass, picked clean by bugs and carrion birds. And there is the deep, rich smell of soil mingled with the smell of feathers, fur, and blood. There's someone approaching you from the other direction, probably from the camp. A man. He says, "Hello there. I saw you and your friends head over to the shrine. Is everything all right?"
I think one of my hands reaches into my pack and sort of grips the statue, the crow statue protectively. The other one rests on my sword. Who might you be?
He says, I'm just a wanderer, a vagrant. I'm here doing a little bit of hunting. These lands are filled with, well, vegetation, but also game. And he does have the look of a vagrant, I suppose. His cloak is quite tattered, though he seems to be keeping it very close to him, keeping it closed. And he himself has a head of gray hair and silvery beard, and he looks quite weathered. And he says, yeah, it's just doing a bit of hunting. What about you? What are you doing out here?
What have you been hunting?
Oh, this and that, you know.
I don't know.
Are your friends okay? There's not much room in that shrine. They must be getting uncomfortable by now.
How did you know there was a shrine in there? Have you visited it?
Well, the building is a shrine. I know that much. I'm not much on my histories or religion. I'm not much of a religious man, but I know that that's a roadside shrine, and it's quite small. There's not much to see.
I don't have any friends in there.
Oh, I see. Well, if you're hungry, I have some breakfast left over. I didn't finish much of it myself.
What is your name?
Oh, I'm just passing through. You can just call me friend, because that's what we are now, right? We're friends.
I'm afraid to say I don't know friend from foe anymore.
I can see that. I can see you are clearly troubled. I see that you're heading towards the village. I'd be careful if you go that way.
Have you been that way?
I try to avoid it. I give it a wide berth.
Why is that?
Yeah. I've heard all the same stories you probably have. Curses. Things like that.
And yet you camp so close
Well,
without any support or other camping friends, since you're so friendly.
I'm just passing through, friend.
Man, I want this guy to tell me stuff.
You can do a hunt roll to get him to open up
Yeah.
more.
I think I would like to try and do that, yes. I
Yeah.
think I'm
What
trying
skill
to
might
ask
you
him, yeah.
What skill might you invoke here, if any?
Oh, Lord. My skills are not for talking, they're for fighting.
You can roll one die.
I think I'm gonna roll one. This is probably going to be fine. Oh, it's
6.
6 light.
Take a token.
Obviously light.
He's being very evasive, and I don't think that's going to get any better. But you will notice, even though his cloak is kind of in bad condition and he himself is he looks a bit haggard, his sword and chainmail are very nice indeed. Much nicer than a vagrant should have. You'll notice that every time you glimpse beneath the cloak.
Yeah, I assume that he has murdered somebody and stolen their stuff.
Possibly, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's my assumption looking at that, but whether or not that's true is fine.
He says, well, just be careful out there.
You know, I think we may have gotten off on the wrong foot. Would you care for an apple?
And he says, I'm actually feeling quite full.
These are very special apples.
I'm something of a carnivore, I'm afraid.
Don't have any poison meat. Well, perhaps a few moments at camp will not derail my mission. So
It's no trouble. Come.
all right, I'll go with them.
Meanwhile, back at the subterranean shrine, I think you've got everything you can do here. What are you all doing now?
Trying to get out. I imagine it's probably Malkuth who's doing most of the pushing up of
Yeah,
the statue.
you can get free of it. That's fine.
Yeah. And yeah, he'll help out Banana and Cassian from getting up and come to the surface.
I think very carefully in case Magda is waiting up there for us with ill intent. But once we see that she's not, so where to now?
While we were down there, were there any roots or bits of moss?
What'd you have in mind?
weeds? I would like to eat something to see if I can figure out what happened to Magda. I
Eat
can
something?
consume a plant to absorb some of its memories.
Oh, I like the moss idea. Yeah, let's do that. That sounds great. Yeah.
So he'll have gathered some moss and taken it up and explained his plan.
Make a hunt roll. You can do it with 2 dice.
4.
4. The terrible encounter might just be the truth here. Take your token, but also, yeah, the moss doesn't really know how to express it, but it's the idea of just before all that happened, she removed something. She changed the environment. She took something. She's clearly, you can put 2 and 2 together pretty easily here. She's under the thrall or spell of whatever that was that she took.
Malkuth will whisper to Bana. He does this all the time. Did you find anything out?
It's no
Yes.
stranger than anything Magda has been doing over the last day or so.
I think when Cassian does this, some of the plant will kind of grow in his eyes. And so as he wipes the moss from his tear ducts, he'll turn and explain she's taken something she should not have taken. It has a hold on her.
Well, gotta catch up with her then and take it back. Make sure that she breaks its influence. Right?
It won't be easy to convince her, but yes, I suppose you're right.
Well, I mean, I have a 24-foot long chain. If we need to tie her up, just take it. Whatever it is.
Yes.
And we have to figure out what it was.
Well, I guess we have to
Moss
find her.
couldn't put words.
Did the moss tell you where she is, Cassian?
No, it's in the basement with us. You didn't see where she went.
Of course. How foolish of me.
Can I look around and see if, well, I guess maybe Cassian might be better at this, but see if I see any tracks or anything like that.
I don't think it's going to be too much trouble to figure out that Magda went to the campsite. The campsite's not
Okay.
far, and you might even hear the noises of hospitality taking place at the camp when you get out to the road. Indeed, Magda, the Vagrants camp there's a tent, there's a bedroll, there are the very, very dying embers of a campfire, some basic equipment. He is a lean, rangy man with a hard look, as I've noted before, a very gamey odor, and though he tries to hide it, you can tell that his sword and chainmail are a very, very fine make and quality and condition. He says, I woke up this morning and, well, I had a little bit of breakfast, but I couldn't quite finish it. I got full quite quickly. So you're certainly welcome to have the rest of it. And he then has a pan of what appear to be sausages and leeks and potatoes as well. And he says, here, you're welcome to it.
I'll take it, but I won't start eating. I want to just sort of casually look around. I'm a retired soldier, so I know what it looks like when somebody hastily makes camp just passing through. I would like to sort of look around at his camp.
Make a hunt roll.
And can I justify my background as an extra light die?
Sure. Yeah, I'll take it. 6. Take a
6.
token.
I'm doing really
I'm
good.
going to ask you how you know this, but looking around, he's not only been here for a night, not for just a, not just a night, not just a week, not just a month. You get the distinct impression he's been here for years. How do you know that?
The stone around the campfire has the look of stone that's been a hearth for, dozens and dozens of years. Additionally, the way that the ground has been worn down by boot tracks, paths from here to there, worn down between the grass, that's not something that happens overnight. Not even something that would happen in a couple of days. This is erosion that happens over years.
He says, I apologize about the condition of the camp. I haven't had time to really make things neat and tidy. Like I said, I'm just passing through. This is my first day and night here. But I haven't had any luck finding games so far, but I know I'm getting close.
What sort of game did you say you're hunting here?
Well, I have a particular beast in mind, but I'll settle for deer, bears, that sort of thing.
I think I'm still picking at the food, not
Yeah.
eating yet.
He says, how do you find the breakfast?
Oh, I'm finding myself not quite hungry either. It must be something about this area. I
He says,
imagine that
oh, look, there are your former friends just coming out of the shrine now.
fortunately they are murderers. They're no longer my friends.
Well,
I don't even know if they were my friends to begin with.
who can say? It is not my business. I don't wish to intercede on your private affairs. Like I said, I'm just here doing a bit of hunting. I shall be passing through soon enough.
Mm.
What are the rest of you doing? You'll be aware of that going on over there. You can't hear them, but you can see.
Let's go and see if we can reason with her.
Do we want to try a stealthier approach, or do we just want to kind of go in hands up? We're your
Does
friends.
reasoning help at the best of times when it's Magda?
Yes, Cassian, that is a good point, but I hate to say it, but I feel a certain duty to help her.
Well, she's one of us.
Perhaps she'll write me into one of her songs,
I think she already has.
but in a more flattering light.
Oh,
Malkuth.
yeah. Gotcha. Well, I have my chain ready just in case, but we'll go in, hands up, hearts open. Hope for the best.
Let's be careful of whoever that is with her in the camp.
I think
I
they're
don't want
coming
him
over
to
this
get the
way.
wrong idea.
Friend, I think they're heading this way. Do you care if I flag them down or welcome them?
I suppose you do what you must.
Hmm.
I think, though, when he turns to do that, I want to smack him over the head with the plate, try and knock him out so I can run.
This is a risk roll. Ben, what could go wrong here?
This will make him an enemy to Magda.
Let's talk about dice. Do you have a relevant skill here?
I have the skill of surprise.
I'll take that. I will offer you the devil's bargain of putting the Scoundrel's Quarter in danger.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Go ahead and roll that now. A dark die or ruin roll.
So 2 light, 1 dark.
Oh no, just roll ruin for the quarter first.
Oh, just a ruin. Yes, of course, for the.
Okay, 6. So the quarter's ruin goes up to 2. And a 2 light, 1 dark for your risk roll. 5 dark. I think that does bump your ruin up though, right?
Yeah, it bumps it up to 5.
Ooh. I think the ruin comes from you get this like really intense sense that he is an enemy of Malfast. Describe how you knock him out.
We're sitting sort of across
Or maybe
from each other.
the complication is it's worse than you knocking him out, right? Like once you realize he's an enemy, you like get real violent with it.
Can I fight him?
I mean, you can.
Once I realize he's my enemy.
Yeah, I guess so if you really want to. Yeah.
Yes, I do. If he's gonna be my enemy, I'm gonna pull my sword on him.
Yeah.
I think I go to hit him with the plate, and that's when that sudden realization happens, and I drop the plate and grab my sword out.
I think the rest of you will see Magda going for her weapon on this guy who was just about ready to like flag you down and wave you over. Magda, how are you vulnerable?
I'm operating by myself, and I don't fully understand what's happening. Like why? I don't even know how I know why this person is an enemy and who are they an enemy of. I don't even know who Malfast is really. I just know that I have to do this, so that's
Roll weak point. 4.
4.
He's a 7 to start, or he's a 7 endurance. So go ahead and roll combat 1. Okay, 1. Just give us the first little bit of the scuffle.
Dropping the plate totally kills the element of surprise. I mean, I suppose he's surprised that he hears a plate drop. The sword coming out, I think he will notice that it's happening as he turns. He sees her pull out this sword, and she's just going to point it at him right below his chin, threatening, but not yet fighting.
And I think he kind of spins away very deftly to grab his own weapon. And that's the second round to a combat 2. That's enough to defeat him, 5 and 4, but he does hit you. Go ahead. I assume you're going to mark armor.
Yes. I think I will. Yeah.
I mean, you're at
I'm
room
gonna-
5. I think you have to.
Yeah. Yes, I'm definitely going to. I'm going to
describe how you kill him.
He's really quite quick. And his death spin, he pulls out his own weapon and brings it down, and it's long enough and sharp enough that it would probably, at least sever some of my shoulder. I managed to pull up my shield in time, the one that I used to decapitate the creature earlier, and it catches his sword, which drives my arm into my chest, probably really at least dislocating my shoulder. But it leaves my sword hand free. And using that, I make a deep gash just across his chest, slicing through his ribs, and chainmail, which looked nice, but I suppose isn't quite as good as it looked.
He goes down. Bana, Cassian, Malkuth, you just watched Magda essentially murder this guy. What are the 3 of you doing?
Bernard just stops running as he sees Magda draw the weapon in the first place. He's just kind of arms up, running towards her. No, stop. And then, keeps running as he looks in horror as she just cuts him down.
When Malkuth sees Magda cut him down, I think he's hit him from where he was. He was sort of doing similarly to Banaba. When he sees that, he'll sort of try to, tackle her football style.
Yeah, if Amanda's not opposed to it, you just can. I don't mind if you just tackle her.
Yeah, we could do a tackle. We could do a contest. I will leave that up to Jack.
Well, let's do a contest.
Oh, a contest. We're getting dangerous here. High level of danger. One of you might not survive it. Cassian, what are you doing?
Cassian's going to try and help the stranger if he can.
Oh, he's done for.
Oh, he reeled
Yeah,
it.
he's done for. You will notice he has very nice armor and sword, though. Not that it did him much good, but
yeah, he'll note that and try and, well, Magda's maybe distracted, maybe tackled, try and get her back.
You can do that. I'll let you do that. Cassian can get the pack and indeed get the statue, which will break its hold on you, Magda. You can resist. You can basically deny. You could basically just not do the contest, or you can. I'll leave it up to you.
Yeah.
But if since Cassian's gone for the statue, I'll give you the out here.
I think I would, once that entrancement is gone, I would drop my sword and let Malkuth tackle me to the ground.
Yeah, I think that moment where you sort of feel that break, you just feel him collide into you, just like a quarterback,
Yeah.
and you just get flung 5 feet into the ground.
Cassian, as long as you are not sort of willingly taking the statue, you can set it down and be done with it. If you can find a way to break its magic, you can keep it for its value. But for now, we'll just say it's on the ground. It is made of gold, which is why it's so valuable. And it is the crow with the crown depicted in the mural.
Yeah, I think he'll just kind of upend her pack and spill its contents. And once that statue is visible, it's super obvious that's the problem here. So he'll kind of keep back, but be trying to think of a way to contain it.
Banal, what are you doing right now?
I think Bernard stopped running when the stranger was killed, and then just watches as Malkuth and Magda tackle one another, and then I'll slowly walk up and look at this statue. And Cassian, what do you make of this? You think this was the benign influence upon Magda's mind?
Look at it. It's like from the mural, the crow with the crown.
Yes.
It must be.
Indeed.
It's the only thing we can't account for.
The question is now, what do we do with it?
If you were to show it to the moss would confirm that's what was taken. So.
I don't know. We can't touch it. We can't carry it, but it's valuable.
Malkuth will roll off of Magda, winded with the kind of trajectory that he hit her with, kind of impact. And lying on his back, he'll see the statue and see the other two looking above it. Say, we gotta break it. We gotta destroy it, right? It's gold. We could maybe burn it to smelt.
Can we be sure the gold itself doesn't carry the curse or enchantment?
Well, we don't bring it with us. We just destroy it, right? It's not worth all of this. Also, sorry, Magda. And I'll pat her on the shoulder.
Are you fully recovered from murdering a poor man, Magda?
It was bad. He was bad. I know he was bad.
Just like us. Bad, yes?
You killed those creatures, though.
Magda,
Wasn't
they
that...
fell upon us like wolves to a slaughter. They were trying to kill us.
But I was so
Look.
sure.
You don't want to kill us, do you? I'm not sure I like your hesitation.
Don't
It's
like
kind
that
of a
she's
yes or no.
thinking
Will
about
you...
it.
Are you going to try and kill me?
Only
Magda,
into
no.
self-defense. No.
But you killed those things. I don't understand. What's...
In self-defense, as Malkuth says, yes, we killed them. You were there, Magda. They jumped on us.
Did they? I don't
Yes.
remember. I don't remember clearly. I don't know.
Well, here's maybe a more definitive question. Do we need to put you in chains so that you don't kill us? Or are you just kind of good to walk on your own?
If you don't give me a reason to kill you, then I won't do it.
When have we ever given you a reason to kill you? I mean, except for, when you were ensorcelled by a weird crow thing statue.
Statue?
Was that?
Don't pick it up, Magda.
I think I step towards it. But I stop when Banana tells me not to.
And so the question becomes, how much more are you going to do in this camp? Are you going to move off to the village? I will tell you that there is a special rule in play vis-a-vis the farmhouse. That special rule is... Pretty sure I wrote it into the... yes. If you spend a day and night, or the rest of the day and the night, recuperating and resting at the farmhouse, you get to lower your ruin by 1.
That would be useful.
Yeah,
That
I
would.
wouldn't be opposed to it.
Are you all going to head to the
Cassian-
farmhouse then?
I think Cassian will suggest that they bury the man, take whatever they might be handy from the camp, and then head to the farmhouse.
Malkuth does want to destroy the statue. He'll, like, if no one puts up a fight, he will smash it. But if someone says anything, he will at least hesitate before dropping his hammer on it.
Can we melt it down, Malkuth? That much gold would go
I
a
think
long
it's
way.
special. I think it's important and special. I don't know if we should break it.
Your opinion is appreciated, but unwelcome, Magda.
Yes, I think ensuring it does not influence anyone else in the way it influenced you would be the wise, prudent course. Is there like a cook pot on the fire in the...
Sure, yeah.
Here, Malkuth. And Bernal will tip whatever contents of the cook pot out into the grass. And, use a rag or something to wipe it out as clean as he can. And can you put the statue in here without... Between us, perhaps we can lift it with your hammer and Cassian's staff.
I think we could just. He'll start to like dig his hands into the earth and try to like make a mound of dirt, like encasing it so that he's not like physically touching it, and we'll just kind of like try to lift it up and put it into the pot.
Is the goal to smelt down this statue?
Yeah.
Yes.
You can do that. That does destroy its magic, and it is just 4 gold worth of gold now. So actually, I would say 3 gold worth of gold. It's more valuable in a form, but it's still a pretty good score. You can just add that to your gold counter, whoever's keeping part of it.
I will take my share of it.
I don't think Magda's going to go near it now.
I'll take a bit
the
of
magic is broken.
Take 1 and 2.
Very
However,
good.
I would like to spend 3 hunt tokens and find some cool stuff in this guy's camp, because I am pretty sure this guy is a bad guy still, even though I killed him under a weird influence. He was lying about how long he was here. He's a liar.
You find he has a chest of silver, which is worth 2 gold. And he has a signet ring, which is worth 1 gold. Like a lord might use to stamp documents.
Malkuth, before we go, help me bury him.
Yeah. And Malkuth will we'll start digging and then load the corpse into the grave.
Indeed.
While they're doing that, can I also take a look around the camp to see if there's any hint as to who this guy is?
Yeah, I
like
think
he's a vagrant, but like what he was doing here.
No, I think you'll see well, we'll pick it up in a bit. Where do you bury him? Do you bury him near the camp, or do you take him out a ways?
I think off the path a little bit, not too far.
Okay. I think we'll just end the session there with you all splitting up the gold, finding things in the camp, looking around the camp, burying the body. Let's go to Stars and Wishes.
Yeah.
star for Magda for the, portraying her being under the influence of Malfast. That was great,
And
just
the venom too. I thought it was all very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, she was
leaning
just
into
under the
that
influence
stuff.
the entire session.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that was a lot of fun to play off. And yeah, I'm really interested to see what the consequences of killing this stranger are. Yeah, and I don't know, there was a great creepy atmosphere. I enjoyed the depiction of the creatures that we fought. Yeah, had a lot of fun just interacting with all the other characters today. So stars to everyone for just making it a very kind of rich session in that sense.
Yeah, I agree. Stars to everyone for the characters. Like everybody really had some solid, like consistent character moments, especially coming back now from Trophy Dark, and settling back into these characters and their stories. It felt like no time had passed, which I guess it hadn't in their lives, but yeah, it felt really natural. And I really liked Ben, I really liked how you dealt with Cassian's hand being missing. Anytime anyone brought anything up, he always had a really great comeback that was so in character, but also very funny. And the interaction between Cassian and the Moss and Benal after the whole it was just so wonderfully sarcastic. I really enjoyed that whole thing. Um, I really love the character of Malkuth. I love when there was a moment in this session where he did something so completely badass. It was in the shrine, I think, and it was just this wonderful, like really heroic moment that should have a song written about it, but it's probably not going to happen, because that's how this works. I also really loved, Jason, how this was a really, I mean, I know you wrote Hester's Mill, so you're really familiar with this whole area, this whole world, but it felt really rich and full. We didn't do a lot technically, we didn't visit a lot of different places or anything, but it felt like everywhere we went had a full and complete history, was a full complete area. And yeah, this was fun. I'd watch this movie.
Yeah, I agree. I think everyone just, I felt this session in particular, and maybe it's sort of like the contrast between, the couple of sessions of Dark, where like I think coming here it felt like I really got a sense of who everyone was this session, and I think the interplay was really good. I'm loving like just Cassian's sort of sarcastic quips. I'm enjoying Banaz's, flair. I love that Magda was under the influence the entire time. And I really like the end where we're seeing like this like questioning of morality of her motivation. She's been sort of manipulated in all these different things, and so this kind of part of a wish to see how this day, this event, this session event affects her in the future. I again have never played this particular incursion before. I really dug it. The crow things were really creepy. 5 feet, very wee. Um, just it has this like weird Lovecraftian like in the mountains of madness, but in a cornfield sort of thing going on. In a weird way, like it feels very golden, and it makes sense in my head to describe it as that. But it has a sort of like golden feel to it that I'm really responding to. Um, and then yeah, other than just wanting to see if we actually fight Malfast, if that's a thing. Yeah, I'm just excited to see more.
Yeah, a lot of same star for Jason for chopping off Cassian's hand in the first 10 minutes of the session. And I'm looking forward to seeing how that continues to be a complicating factor. And I really enjoyed all of the interactions. Amanda leaning in on Magda being under the influence of the statue and just ganking a dude. was a really good twist. I'm looking forward to seeing how Magda deals with this if her mind clears up a little. That'll be, I think, some good opportunity, some good grist for that mill, if you will. I liked how Bana was more taken aback by Cassian communing with Moss than, crow things dropping from the ceiling with tentacles and but yeah, Moss is the weird part.
I think he was pretty taken back by both. Yeah.
Fair. Yeah, and Malkuth and the haunting naughty Ebert. Let's see how that continues to, because we just need everything to happen at once here.
I love it. Star, I think the thing I really loved about this was, so we've seen them do the Temple of the Peerless Star, and I would say that the group was very successful in that incursion, right? Like, it was a very adventurous and sword and sorcery kind of high adventure sort of incursion, and we got to really see these characters, like, be their best selves and very successful. And then you get to this fucking backwater, overgrown cornfield pumpkin place, and like, it's just fucking hell, right? Like around every corner there's just fucking danger, and like, and there's no apparent reward yet. not much anyway. Well, now that you've melted down that statue, I guess there is, but it was a hard fought reward, right? So I kind of just love that sort of TikTok of the two incursions. I think it's fun. I think everyone's doing a really great job with leaning into danger. Amanda did a terrific job leaning into sort of the various afflictions of Magda today. I loved all that. I like that, Ben, you kind of rolled with Cassian losing his hand really, really quickly in the session. I thought that was a lot of fun. I continue to enjoy the sort of sarcastic interplay between the characters. That's very, very fun. And Bana in particular is very fun to watch in that way. And I really like Malkuth and Naughty Ebart. And I want to know, as a wish, I want to know where that's going to go. Like, I want to know what's going to happen with that. And yeah, so I'm pretty excited about all that. Any other stars or wishes?
I've listened to a couple of actual plays of this incursion before, but it feels really fresh playing it. It's not like,
good.
I know everything going on, and it's playing out the same way as I've seen other people play it. It's different.
Yeah,
good.
So that's great.
I've read through most of it, but I haven't read through all of it. So I don't actually know anything about this guy that I killed. And I want to find out more. He was clearly being shady and shifty, and I want to know why. So that's kind of my wish, is either, I don't know if it's more fun to figure out what his deal is or to have it just be a mystery, but I want to, I don't know, have some kind of conclusion to that story.
Yeah, just sort of a mini wish. I want to know what that signet ring is. Yeah, like who does it belong to, and like what can you sort of officiate with it now that you have it?
Because like, if he's been there for years, is he a guy from the town that's been there for years? How long ago was this whole thing that happened in Hester's Mill? A long time ago, right?
It was 100 years
like
ago.
A century ago.
Yeah. Like, what's this guy doing here? I don't know. I'm excited.
Ghosts, Magda. It's ghosts.
It's ghosts.
No such thing
You
as
killed a
ghosts.
ghost.
No such thing as ghosts. You can't kill a ghost.
Another wish is, because again, I haven't read this before, but I wonder if that sorceress that was that we saw in the mural who conjured Malfast, if we're gonna meet her or her spirit or anything like that. I'm curious to know more about her.
Indeed, you are. You might learn faster than you think you expect to. We are going to zoom into the burial site of the vagrant, the mound of dirt, where we see a teddy bear sitting on the mound of dirt. And somewhere in the distance, perhaps all the way in Fort Toren, perhaps spoken by a woman posing as a path seer who has cast off her blindfold and her rags to reveal a velvety gown embroidered with stars and moons and planets. Her voice rings out across the land. Rise, immortal beast-bitten. Rise and continue your hunt. And we see, bursting out of the ground, a claw, massive, fur-covered. And it grabs the teddy bear. And we'll wave goodbye.